She said, "I just need a little space. It's not about anyone else." But I found the hotel receipts, froze every account, and called off the wedding. Her break was really an affair, and she lost far more than just me. I was 33 and engaged to Emily. She was 31. We'd been together for 4 years, and for the longest time I thought we had something solid, something you could build a life on. We were at a point in our lives when our families were close. Our friends saw us as the dependable couple, and we were just weeks away from the wedding we had been planning for months. Up until Nashville, her bachelorette party, everything seemed steady. Something seemed off the night she left, for no apparent reason. It was more like a pit in my chest that I couldn't shake than jealousy or paranoia. I told myself that nerves before a wedding can mess with your head are normal. Nonetheless, I felt uneasy inside. I received a notification on a shared group chat while I was at home scrolling through my phone later that evening. It was one of Emily's bridesmaids, not her own. She must have left her phone unlocked and pictures started popping up in the chat. At first, they were harmless. Shots of the girls in cowboy hats laughing at some honky-tonk bar, drinks raised high. Typical Nashville bachelorette stuff. But then a picture appeared, and I stopped right there. My fiancée Emily is seen kissing a random guy on the dance floor, and it's not just a harmless drunken kiss. You wouldn't mistake it for anything other than what it was. The photos didn't stop, so I kept staring at the screen in the hope that I was reading it incorrectly. A short video next, her holding hands with the guy, laughing like they'd known each other forever. A picture of the two of them leaving together in the back of an Uber appeared later that evening. I instructed myself to exhale. I had no choice but to believe there was a reason, but deep down I knew. Emily sent me a text the next day. Her message was brief and even casual. "I'm sorry, girl. Last night my phone died. I had fun despite the crazy night. I'll call you later." My hands tightened around the phone. I wanted to respond, demand clarification, and inquire about what the hell I had just witnessed, but I didn't. I just sat there and listened. She wasn't just lying about how her phone was dying. It was the ease with which she spoke, as if she hadn't spent the night in the arms of another man. At that point, the discomfort in my chest became more pronounced. Still, I didn't confront her. No, not yet. I needed more than just my gut feelings and blurry images. I needed truth I could hold in my hands. I stared out the kitchen window that morning for what seemed like an eternity, pondering how everything could have changed in a single night. We had been making playlists and flower arrangements just a few days earlier. Now, I couldn't stop picturing her and him laughing, kissing, and then disappearing into that car's back seat. I told myself one thing: don't act rashly. Don't scream. Don't make a fuss. If she really did betray me, the proof would come. It always does. Because something told me this wasn't just one stupid night. I waited, calm on the outside but burning inside. I had been too blind to see the beginning of the truth. After that first morning, I kept quiet. A few days later, Emily came home acting as if nothing had happened. She kissed me at the door, told me how much she missed me, and launched into stories about Broadway Street, rooftop bars, and just being wild with the girls. I nodded along, smiled when she expected me to, but inside every word felt hollow. That night, when she fell asleep, I opened my laptop. I've always been meticulous, patient, and good at details. I would locate anything that could be found. I also did. Our joint credit card bill had 2 charges that stood out like a neon sign. One was for a boutique hotel in downtown Nashville at 3:07 a.m. The other, just hours later, was for a pharmacy less than a block away from that same hotel. Plan B. I remember spending a lot of time staring at the screen, my chest tightening, and my heart pounding so loudly I could almost hear it echo. This was clearly communicated. No crazy night out with the girls. No phone died. This was done in advance. This was genuine. I finally asked her at the dinner table the following evening, sitting across from her, "So, anything happened in Nashville you want to tell me about?" She froze for a split second, then smiled too quickly like she'd practiced it. "What's your point?" "It was just partying with the girls." My phone was moved across the table by me. Screenshots of the hotel charge, the pharmacy, even a picture from the bridesmaids group chat. Her face drained of color. At first, she tried to spin it, claiming that she had consumed too much alcohol and had made a stupid mistake. She begged me to view it as one bad night rather than who she really was and swore it had no significance. Her words poured out so fast, like if she kept talking, maybe the truth would somehow vanish between us. However, after that, she said the one thing that ended my life. Don't ruin the wedding over this. Everyone gets nervous before marriage. I just lost control for a moment. I had no idea what I was hearing. She was not weeping because she had harmed me. She was crying because she got caught. Her parents even called me later that week. Her mom's voice was soft, pleading, "Sweetheart, every bride gets cold feet. Don't let one night ruin your future. She cherishes you. Don't be obstinate, stubborn." That's what they called it. Like I was overreacting to the woman I was supposed to marry, spending the night in a hotel with another man. At that point, everything in me settled down. The rage, the hurt, and the unbelief all subsided. I realized there was nothing I could save, not because I forgave her. She had no apologies. She did not feel guilty. She was desperate to protect the wedding, the image, the comfort of the life we had built on a lie. I didn't scream. I never fought. I just sat there looking at the woman I thought I knew and understood. She had already made her choice, and now it was my turn to make mine. My perspective changed when I realized Emily was only worried about missing the wedding and not sorry. There was nothing more to discuss. She had shown me exactly who she was, and it was my job to act on it. However, I did not storm out. I didn't throw her stuff on the lawn or scream for the neighbors to hear. No, I would show her how wrong she was if she thought she could fool me. The first thing I did was cancel the venue. Since my name was on the contract, I had complete control. Our reservation, this huge, elaborate event she'd been raving about for months, was gone after just one email and a quick phone call. I didn't care that the deposit wasn't refundable. I even considered it to be the price of freedom. I then contacted our bank. I put a freeze on the joint savings account we set up for the wedding. She wasn't going to use my hard-earned money to pay for her mistake. After that, I moved on to the vendors, the photographer, caterer, and DJ, and informed each of them in polite but firm messages that the wedding had been postponed. Some inquired as to my certainty. I told them I was very sure. Each canceled email felt like a weight lifting off my chest. I gathered everything in the end. She emailed her parents the hotel receipts, pharmacy bill, and group chat screenshots from her bridesmaids. There are no dramas, no explanations, just the plain and simple truth. The outburst that followed was immediate for Emily. She stormed into our apartment, furious, demanding how I could humiliate her like that. She yelled, "Weddings aren't canceled for one mistake." Her voice cracking with rage and despair. Kept my cool. "Emily, this was not a mistake. A mistake is coffee stains on a shirt. This was an option. You succeeded. I'm making mine right now." She cried harder then, dropping into that pleading tone, swearing she'd do anything that she'd prove she could change. But I could see through it. It wasn't love in her eyes. She was afraid of losing the life she believed was assured. She left that evening to spend the night at her parents' house. She wasn't chased by me. I did not phone. Strangely content, I just sat in our apartment's silence. I was able to breathe for the first time in maybe weeks or even months. It was surreal. While she was scrambling to patch up the image of her perfect wedding, I was quietly dismantling it piece by piece. Every contract was terminated, every dollar was secured, and every secret was made public. Moreover, she never anticipated it. The wedding day that was supposed to bind us forever was gone, and in its place was something better, a clean slate. But what I didn't know then was that the real fallout hadn't even started. The day that should have been our wedding arrived. I sat at home, sipping coffee as the sun crept across the floor. Rather than tuxedos, flowers, or vows, my future felt uncertain for the first time in a long time. But in a way, it also felt free. Emily's world was falling apart across the town. The hotel receipts, pharmacy charges, and group chat screenshots that I sent were in the hands of her parents. They confronted her the night before what was supposed to be the ceremony. and it ended in shouting, slammed doors, and tears that no longer moved anyone. That morning, instead of getting dressed in a white gown, Emily was being escorted out of her parents' house with suitcases in hand after a massive fight. Within hours, everyone was aware that the wedding had been postponed and why. Neighbors saw and family and friends heard. However, the most significant development had nothing to do with her at all. It was the guy she dated in Nashville. He wasn't just some random fling from a bar. He was married. Married with a wife 6 months pregnant. I found out by quietly sending an anonymous message to the hotel reservation number. I didn't want to be cruel, but the wife deserved to know. The truth pounded at her like a hammer when she responded quickly. She had a suspicion, but the receipts proved it. She filed for divorce within days. The guy was thrown out of his home, forced to crash with a friend while his entire life crumbled. Emily, on the other hand, attempted to keep her cool, but karma has a way of working faster than people anticipate. It turned out that he and she were both employed by the same company. They thought they were being discreet, but coworkers started whispering after seeing them argue in the office parking lot. HR got involved, and soon an internal investigation began. Employees who brought personal scandals into the workplace were not tolerated. Emily attended a meeting within a month. She didn't come back with her job. It became too much pressure, gossip, and humiliation. She walked away before they could force her out. Quickly, word spread. Friends who once envied her perfect life kept their distance. Her social circle shrank overnight. Invitations ceased to arrive. She had lost the reputation she had worked so hard to build. Through whispers from our mutual friends and family, I heard everything firsthand. I won't lie, I also felt a gloomy sense of satisfaction. Not because I wanted to see her suffer, but because I realized I didn't even have to lift a finger. The truth handled it for me. On the day I was supposed to stand at an altar promising forever, Emily was standing in the wreckage of her own choices. I sat back, breathed deep, and let the silence of my apartment remind me that peace is sometimes the greatest revenge of all. But there was more to the story. No, not yet, because nearly a year later, she came back. Nearly a year had passed. My life progressed slowly and steadily. I refocused on myself, rebuilt, and learned to enjoy simple routines without letting mistrust cloud my judgment. Even though it wasn't glamorous, it was real and peaceful. Then, one afternoon, I received a message from an unidentified number. The kind that temporarily causes your stomach to tighten because you already know who it is. It was Emily. The message was long, far longer than anything she'd written me before. Regret fills every paragraph, spilling over. She wrote, "You were the best man I ever had. I was naive. Please forgive me. I see now that you were my soulmate. I ruined everything chasing something meaningless." I sat there reading it, not angry, not even sad. Remain calm, because the truth was right here. The Emily I had loved, the one I thought I'd spend my life with, didn't exist anymore. It's possible that she never did. All that was left was someone who finally realized what she'd thrown away. But only after all other things have been lost first. I didn't say a word in response. Nashville was where she had made her decision. She had doubled down when she lied, begged, and let her parents try to smooth it over. She had shown me exactly where I stood in her priorities. And now, when the consequences had burned down her life, she wanted me back. No, her betrayal had destroyed the wedding. Yes, but in hindsight, it saved me. It saved me from tying my life to someone who couldn't respect it. It saved me from years of doubt, suspicion, and pain. And the irony, that night in Nashville, she thought she was chasing happiness. She thought she had found something better. However, her joy turned out to be that of a married man who had lost his wife, the trust of his child, and his home. She lost her job, her reputation, and the future we had built together. I didn't need revenge. The door had already been kicked down by karma. Now I sleep easy. I laugh with friends. I look ahead without the weight of wondering what she's doing behind my back. Although it is not flashy, my life is authentic and mine. As for Emily, well, she'll carry the consequences of her own choices. She'll know exactly what she gave up each time she thinks back on the wedding that never happened or the man she said was just a mistake. And that's enough for me. I am grateful that you stuck around to the end. Make sure to subscribe and check back for more content.